Hello viewers, Enjoy Tactics here, and today we'll be learning about randomizers and probability. Now, I'll give you a fair warning, this does require some basic math skills, and I think we're pretty safe on that, because I don't think you would have made it this far in the series if you didn't have basic math skills anyways. So, before we get started, I'd just like to say sorry if you can hear my overly loud fan. I'm going to get that cleaned out soon because it's just absolutely unacceptable to hear that background noise in my videos. So sorry if you can hear it, and I'm also sorry if you didn't notice it and I just made you aware of it, and now you're going to be aware of it the whole video. So anyways, let's get started. So randomizers can be used for games, and specifically, they can be used for, let's say you're making a casino in Minecraft, or maybe like a lottery in Minecraft where you get a whole bunch of diamonds or something like that. You would need a randomizer so that not everyone gets diamonds, or you can't predict whenever the next person is going to get diamonds. It's just random and you got to play the lottery or whatever. Or you could also do it on parkour, where there's a piece of the jumping course that doesn't appear until a random time or something like that. So there's some practical uses. Also, I have a few examples here, and I'm going to show them off. So first of all, I would like to show off the simplest example. This is a 50-50 chance of having an on signal or an off signal, and this piston fire or not. So if I press this button, there will be a 50-50 chance that this fires or that it doesn't fire. So in this case, it fired. I'm going to turn my volume down a bit. If I press it again, it doesn't fire. Press it again, still didn't. Press it again, didn't. And sometimes it can seem like it's not random, like you can predict what it would be next, but it is random. Sometimes you do get patterns. For example, I've noticed that just the way Java generates random numbers, if you will click the same button multiple times very quickly, you will likely get almost the same result. So if I click this a whole bunch, oh, I'm not giving it time, that's why, okay. So as you can see, the only one flaw to this is that if you click the button multiple times quickly, you will probably get the same or nearly the same result. So that is the only flaw to this design. But it doesn't really make that huge of difference. So here's how this works. We have a dropper here that's going to shoot an item into this hopper, and it can either shoot the sword, which is a weapon, or a block, which is the stone block. And here we have a comparator. This comparator will give signal strength either 1 or 2 blocks, and it will give 2 blocks if the sword ends up getting put in this dropper or hopper, I'm sorry, or if the stone gets put in this hopper, then it only goes 1 block, doesn't reach the repeater, doesn't give an out. Well, it does give an output, but it doesn't give an on signal. Okay, so if I click this, on, off, so you can see it's completely random. You can't really, there's no accurate way of predicting it. So, yeah, that was the randomness. So that's the basic idea here for you. Now I'm just going to, now that's the basic idea here, but I've added some variations to this idea and design, and I've built off of it to tweak it and make it different and do different things. So keep watching if you're interested. Alright, so everything else I'm about to show you is built off of this one design that I've just demonstrated. Every design that I'm going to demonstrate next is going to be built off of this one concept. So if you understand this, you should understand everything else. So the next thing I have to show you is changing the probabilities. Now you may have noticed that we only have 2 items in here. We have a normal block and a weapon. and I've explained to you how that works and why it's 50-50, because we only have 2 items that both have a 50-50 chance of getting pushed into this hopper. And you may have thought, if you're a creative person, well, couldn't I add more blocks or more swords and that would change the probability? And the answer is yes. Over here I have an example of that. I have five swords, and it doesn't even have to be a diamond sword. I think it can be any sword. It may be able to be any weapon. I'm not sure about that. I'm not going to go that broad for sure. But this has a 5/9 chance of firing this piston off. So it's likely that it's going to fire the piston, but it won't always fire the piston. It's just likely that it will happen. And we can say that by looking in this dispenser and looking at the probabilities. It's kind of weird to look at blocks in a dropper and understand them as a probability, but that's how this works. You're either going to put more swords, or you can put more blocks. Now we have a 3/9 or 1/3 chance of getting an on signal, so it's probably not going to get an on signal. We can assume that because obviously we only have 3 swords and we have 6 other solid blocks. It doesn't have to be a solid block. I believe it can be any other block that doesn't give that only gives 1 signal strength. So there's that idea. So that's why I said you need to understand probability. If you understand this, then you're pretty much good. So now you understand randomizers, and you can change and modify their probabilities to your liking or to whatever use you want to put them to. And now I'm going to introduce you to something else, which is building off of what I just showed you. So in this, we can only create a finite number of probabilities, right? Because we only have 9 slots. I mean, there's only a certain combination of how many probabilities we can possibly do. And if you don't like that, well, then what you can do is you can make 2 randomizers, or 3 or 4, however many you want, and you can actually hook them up to an AND gate and fire them at the same time. So for example, I have 9 items in here. Only 1 is a sword, so that's 1/9. And I have 9 items in here, and only 1 is a sword, so that's 1/9. And if you know some basic math, you know that when you take 2 probabilities and you want to figure out the probability of those probabilities being the same, or their output being the same, then what you have to do is you have to multiply them together. And I'm sorry if that wasn't a good explanation. I'm not perfect. It might not have been a valid explanation, but it's how I think of it. So basically what I'm trying to say is that you take 1/9 times 1/9 and you get 1/81. So that's the chance that this will turn on. Okay? And you can also switch up the values. So for example, I could change this, and I'll put it like this. And now we have 2/9, right? So it's 2/9 multiplied by 1/9. And you can always change them if you want. There's a lot of variations here. I'm not really limiting you. I'm just using my examples. You can make these however you want, whatever fits you. So for example, if you were making a lottery, you clearly don't want people to win half the time. You would lose so much. I mean, you really don't want that. So what you would do is you could take 1/9 probability, but that's still too much because you don't want every 9th person playing to win the lottery. So you take 1/9 times 1/9. You hook that up to an AND gate like this, and you bring it out. There's your output. So now 1 over every 81 people will actually win. So, you know, 1 may go on every once in a while, but yeah, see, it's hard to even get 1 on, and for them to both be on at the same time, that's actually pretty hard to get. So we got lucky and the one on our left was on, but we'd have to get lucky 2 times, so on this side and on this side, in order to get our output. I mean, I could stand here clicking this all day long, and I might get a few wins. You know, I might get some wins. But if I played this as a lottery, I would win half the time, so I would win frequently. So it's better if you're designing like a lottery system to use very, very low probabilities so that they will most likely not win. Or they'll have to, for example, donate an item in order to play the game, but most of the time, in the vast majority of the time, you will win, and you will be the lottery maker, the one who designed the lottery machine. And even though they'll get like a stack of 64 diamonds from winning the game one time, you can assure yourself that over hundreds of plays, you will eventually come out on top because the probability is just in your favor, no matter if they win and get lucky a few times. So that's the idea. And there's one more thing I would like to show to you. I don't quite understand it fully myself, but it's just an idea, okay? So basically, what I do is, let's just exclude this for now. We are going to take one randomizer that gives an output every for however many clock cycles this turns on the dropper. So it's going to steadily give outputs, whether they be on or whether they be off. It's going to give outputs. So this would be off, 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 on. There we go. So see, it's going to give you steady outputs. Now let's say you want to change that so that it will give you random outputs at random times. Then you could attach another randomizer hooked up to a clock, and of course I think that if they're in sync or not, if these two clocks are in sync or not, I think that makes some sort of difference. I'm not going to calculate it because I really don't care all that much, but the basic idea of this is that, and actually it actually might be beneficial to sync these up so that you don't get one-tick pulses, because that can actually happen and it can be really annoying. So we're going to sync these up just for now. Okay, because it's actually possible to get one-tick pulses if these are out of sync, and if you hook that up to a piston, you'll just have a big mess. So there we go, and that's working now. So we're going to disconnect these, and there we go. So now these are in sync, and we can watch this and see how it works. So at random times, it's going to give you random outputs, and if you don't have the clock synced up, it could possibly be for a random duration. So this is like a redstone line, and if you had a big box around it, you could absolutely not predict what is going to come out of this redstone. You could try and decode the signal all you wanted, but the fact is that it is using the random properties of dispensers or droppers slash dispensers in order to get this random signal. So you could try to decode this and figure it out all you want, but in the end you're not really gonna get anywhere meaningful. So that is another idea for the randomizer, and that's pretty much all I have. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'm gonna show you this real quick. It was just an idea, but it turned out to be a failure, but hey, why not show it to you? So I'm just gonna activate these two clocks, and it follows the same principle I showed earlier, where you have like a completely random output coming out at random times and random durations, and these pistons over here are hooked up. I'm just gonna turn it off so you can't hear the annoying sound. So let's say you're doing parkour and you want it to be random whenever these pistons fire, so it's very difficult for them to get across. And then, for example, you could add like a chest or something, I don't know. Then you could do something cool like that. And also something with this, there's a problem with it actually. It's not long enough, the signal is not long enough so that you can actually be able to get across it. So I'm just gonna tweak it a little bit. I cannot talk tonight. There we go. I think that's gonna work. That'll work. Okay, because we don't want backflow. So there we go. There we go. Okay, good. I was worried it got stuck. So now we have enough time to run across, but we cannot predict whenever it's going to extend, whenever it's going to retract. It's just not something we can predict because we have these randomizers hooked up to each other, and it gives random outputs. And yeah, so there's a practical application. You could use it in like parkour or something. And I'm not going to build a whole lottery system just to demonstrate another idea that you could use with randomizers. But truly, you can do so many things with these randomizers. You can make games, so many different possibilities. It's just amazing. So why don't you take a randomizer and you design your own idea and put it into action, and maybe submit it as a video response. Make a video of it, and I will definitely accept it if it's relevant and other people can check it out. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a rating, comment, and subscribe. And I have a lack of big projects lately. Like, I haven't made anything huge. That's because I basically just been investing my time in learning more about Redstone computing. But I do plan to get a big project done soon. So thanks for watching.